The first bullet shattered Pam Bondi's porcelain coffee mug, sending scalding coffee and ceramic shards across her kitchen floor. The second ripped through the wooden frame of her back door, missing her by inches. Bondi didn't scream. She dropped to the floor, instinct kicking in, the reflex of someone who'd lived through years of threats during her 8-year run as Florida's Attorney General. 3 facts hit her at once. The shots came from the backyard. Her phone was 6 feet away, and whoever fired wasn't trying to kill her. Not yet. These were warning shots, Ms. Bondi. A voice shouted from outside, FBI. Hands where we can see them! FBI agents firing into a private home without announcing themselves? Something was wrong. Staying low, Bondi crawled toward the hallway as floodlights flooded her yard. She pressed the panic button under her console table twice in the code that told her private security this wasn't a drill. 10 seconds to open the door or we're coming in. Her mind raced. None of this fit FBI procedure. No warrants. No announcement. No reason to shoot. This wasn't law enforcement. It was intimidation. And if there was one thing Pamela Bondi never tolerated, it was intimidation. Her phone vibrated. Unknown caller. She answered quietly. Ms. Bondi, this is Special Agent Marcus Townsend with the FBI. We need to speak with you immediately regarding an ongoing investigation. Bondi froze. If Townsend was on the phone, then who was outside? There are armed men claiming to be FBI, she said. They fired into my home. Are they yours? A pause. No, ma'am. We're just now entering your neighborhood. Eat at 3 minutes. Stay on the line and find cover. The hammering at her back door intensified. Final warning. Bondi made a split-second decision. Agent Townsend, I'm activating my security system and opening the door. Whatever happens, there'll be witnesses. Ms. Bondi, don't... She hung up and pressed a second hidden switch beneath a bookshelf. Every camera in her house came alive, streaming footage to a secure off-site server. I'm opening the door, she called out. I'm unarmed. Identify yourselves properly. She stood, hands raised, and stepped back as the door opened. 3 men in tactical gear entered. FBI printed across their vests. Their faces were hidden behind balaclavas. The lead man pointed his rifle at her chest. Another violation. Real FBI agents never did that without clear threat. Pamela Bondi, he said, you're under investigation for obstruction of justice and interfering with federal witnesses. We have a warrant to search your home. Bondi's eyes narrowed. His voice didn't match the agent on the phone. His accent was different. Even the FBI patches looked fake. I'll need to see your credentials, she said calmly. And that warrant you claim to have. And explain why you shot into my home before dawn. The man hesitated. Before he could answer, sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The 3 exchanged glances. We'll continue this downtown, the leader barked. Get dressed. You're coming with us. No, Bondi replied firmly. Not without identification, a valid warrant, and my attorney present. The man's tone hardened. This isn't optional. Flashing lights filled the front windows. Sounds like it just became optional, Bondi said, voice steady. Those sirens, my security team, local police, or maybe the real FBI, so what's it going to be? Show credentials or wait here. The men backed toward the door. This isn't over, the leader hissed before disappearing into the darkness as police cars screeched into her driveway. Her phone rang again. Unknown caller. Ms. Bondi, this is Agent Townsend. We're outside. Palm Beach PD's secured the area. Are you safe? She exhaled shakily. Yes, but 3 armed men just impersonated FBI agents and fired into my home. Stay where you are. We're coming in. Minutes later, real law enforcement flooded the house. Agent Townsend approached, tall, composed, his expression grim. Ms. Bondi, I'm sorry for what happened, he said. But those men weren't ours. Bondi had regained her composure. Then who were they, Agent Townsend? They knew my name. My address. They even accused me of obstruction. That's part of what we need to discuss, he said. But first, are you hurt? I'm fine, she replied, but I want my attorney before we continue. Of course, he said, lowering his voice. But there's something you should know. We have intelligence suggesting you're the target of a sophisticated attempt to compromise you. Compromise me? Bondi snapped. They pointed guns at my chest. That's not compromise, that's assault. The threat may be bigger than that, Townsend said carefully. We believe someone's trying to manipulate both you and the Bureau. The timing is deliberate, Before she could reply, a police officer entered. "Agent Townsend, you'll want to see this." "Found it in the backyard." Townsend left and Bondi seized the moment to call her lawyer. "David, it's Pam," she said when he answered. "I need you at my house. Someone tried to set me up, and the FBI's here now." "I'll be there in 20 minutes, he said. "Don't say anything until I arrive." "Never planned to," Bondi said. "And David, activate Protocol 7. A pause." "That's serious?" "They fired bullets into my home while pretending to be federal agents." "Yes, it's that serious." She ended the call just as Townsend returned, holding a clear evidence bag. Inside was a small electronic device. "We found this in your rose bushes," he said. "Military-grade audio transmitter. Someone's been listening to you, Ms. Bondi." Her stomach dropped. She'd swept for bugs a month ago. Someone had planted this recently. "Agent Townsend," she said evenly, "it's time you tell me what's really going on." He glanced around at the agents photographing bullet holes and collecting shell casings. "Not here," he said quietly. "Too many ears. We'll move somewhere secure." "I'm not going anywhere without my attorney," Bondi replied. "And after what just happened, I'm not trusting anyone claiming to be FBI." Townsend nodded. "Understood. Get dressed. We'll wait." Bondi walked to her bedroom, mind racing. Inside her walk-in closet, she pressed a hidden panel behind the shoe rack, revealing a small safe. From it, she pulled out a secure, untraceable phone, a gift from a grateful former client with powerful connections. Whatever this was, it had just become bigger than her. "Daughter," she dialed a number from memory. "Security checkpoint," answered a crisp, professional voice. "Authentication, Blue Heron code 4092, Bondi said. A pause verified. "Go ahead, Miss Bondi, I need to speak with Director Callahan. Priority read. One moment." Bondi waited, selecting a crisp navy suit from her closet. As Florida's former Attorney General and a seasoned prosecutor, she understood the importance of appearance, especially in crisis. Looking composed and professional was half the battle in situations like this. "This is Callahan," came a gruff voice finally. "Pam, it's not even 6:01 a.m. What's the emergency?" "James, I just had 3 armed men claiming to be FBI agents fire shots into my home and attempt to take me into custody without proper identification or valid warrant. Now my house is swarming with people who claim to be real FBI Ledby and ISU agent Townsend, who says I'm being compromised as part of some larger scheme." "Townsend." Callahan's voice sharpened. "Marcus Townsend from the Miami field office, yes. Do you know him? He's legitimate. One of our best. If he's personally involved, this is serious. That's why I'm calling you James. As head of Homeland Security, you can verify what's happening because right now I don't know who to trust." There was a long pause on the line. "Stay put. Don't leave with anyone, even if they have proper credentials. I'll make some calls and get back to you within the hour." "I appreciate it. And Pam, activate your emergency protocols. If someone's coming after you this aggressively, they won't stop with one attempt." The line went dead. Bondi finished dressing, choosing her most authoritative suit, the same one she'd worn during her most high-profile press conferences as Attorney General. She applied her makeup carefully, masking the power of shock with practiced precision. By the time she emerged, David had arrived and was engaged in tense conversation with Agent Townsend in her living room. "Pam," David said, relief evident in his voice as he crossed to embrace her briefly. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," she assured him, though the slight tremor in her hands belied her calm exterior. Agent Townsend was just about to explain why armed men impersonating FBI agents tried to abduct me from my home at dawn. Townsend gestured for them to sit. "Ms. Bondi, early this morning, our cybersecurity division detected an unauthorized access to our case management system. Someone was creating fraudulent documentation using your name, specifically search warrants and arrest authorizations." "For what purpose?" David interjected. "We believe it was part of an elaborate scheme to discredit both Miss Bondi and the Bureau," Townsend replied. "The false warrants contained allegations of campaign finance violations and obstruction of justice related to Miss Bondi's time as Attorney General." Bondi's mind was working rapidly, connecting dots. The men who broke in mentioned obstruction and witnessed tampering. They seemed to be attempting a fake arrest. Townsend nodded grimly, which suggests coordination between the cyber intrusion and the physical threat. This wasn't opportunistic. It was planned. "But why?" David asked. "What's the endgame?" "That's what concerns us," Townsend said. The timing aligns with Ms. Bondi's scheduled testimony next month before the House Judiciary Committee regarding Department of Justice oversight. Bondi felt the pieces clicking into place. As former Attorney General of Florida and a well-known legal commentator, she'd been asked to testify about maintaining the independence of political work. I was going to name names, David. High-level DOJ officials who buried investigations for political reasons. I have documentation, not just hearsay or speculation. David's eyes widened slightly. Where is this documentation? Not here, Bondi assured him, and not on any device they're imaging. I've been around long enough to know better than to keep sensitive information where it can be easily accessed or erased. Agent Townsend approached before they could continue the conversation. Miss Bondi, we've completed the initial security sweep of your property. In addition to the audio transmitter, we found 2 cameras hidden in your living room and office. Military grade like the audio device. Whoever placed them had professional training. Bondi felt a chill run through her. The idea that someone had been watching her in her most private spaces was deeply violating. How long have they been there? Based on the dust patterns, no more than a week, Townsend replied, which aligns with the timeline of the cyber intrusion. Miss Bondi, I don't want to alarm you further, but these aren't the actions of a typical criminal. This level of surveillance suggests a well-funded operation with specific intelligence objectives. In other words, someone in the government, Bondi said flatly. Townsend's expression remained carefully neutral. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Bondi crossed her arms. Agent Townsend, let's stop dancing around this. Someone with significant resources and access to both FBI systems and surveillance equipment is targeting me. The question is, what are you going to do about it? We're establishing a protective detail and continuing our investigation into the breach, Townsend replied. But Miss Bondi, there's something else you should know, Townsend said quietly. The warrant prepared in your name, the fake one from the cyber intrusion, contained serious allegations about your handling of the Universal Healthcare Partners fraud case in 2016. Bondi froze. That case had been one of the most contentious of her career as Attorney General. What began as a minor state investigation had turned into a massive multi-state probe that uncovered millions in kickbacks to government officials. It made her powerful enemies, some now holding senior positions in Washington. What did the false warrant allege? David asked, noticing her reaction. That Ms. Bondi received a $50,000 donation to her foundation in exchange for limiting the scope of the investigation, Townsend replied. The fabricated evidence included doctored emails and falsified financial records. On the surface, it looks convincing. That's absurd, Bondi said, regaining her composure. We expanded that investigation despite heavy political pressure to shut it down. It led to a $13 million settlement and 3 criminal referrals. I'm not accusing you, Townsend clarified. I'm telling you what was in the false documentation. The level of detail suggests the person behind it had inside knowledge of the case. Bondi's mind raced. Who from that investigation had both the motive and means to pull off something this complex? And then it hit her. Carter Sullivan, she said quietly. Townsend's expression didn't change, but Bondi noticed the tension in his jaw. What about him? He was the federal prosecutor who refused to join our case, Bondi explained. He claimed it didn't merit federal resources, even after we showed evidence of interstate fraud. He's now head of the FBI's Public Corruption Unit, Townsend finished. Exactly. And perfectly placed to access both cyber and field resources for an operation like this, Bondi said. He also has motive. My upcoming testimony before Congress would have exposed his refusal to act, followed by his $1 million stint at a law firm representing universal healthcare executives, before returning to the DOJ. Townsend was silent for a moment. That's a serious accusation, Ms. Bondi. Not an accusation, she replied firmly. It's public record. Sullivan earned $1.7 million at Burger & Clean, then rejoined the DOJ as Deputy Assistant Attorney General. 3 months later, all remaining federal cases against universal healthcare were quietly closed. The room was thick with tension. David watched, realizing Bondi was effectively accusing a senior FBI official of corruption, right in front of another FBI agent whose loyalties were unclear. If you're right, Townsend said finally, this complicates things. Because the FBI can't investigate its own? Bondi challenged. Because allegations like this need solid proof and outside oversight, Townsend corrected. Regardless, you're in danger. We need to move you somewhere secure. No. Bondi's tone was firm. If Sullivan's involved, no FBI or government facility is safe for me. Before Townsend could argue, a commotion erupted near the front door. Another agent entered. Sir, we have a situation. A news van is at the gate, claiming the FBI raided Ms. Bondi's home for a financial misconduct investigation. Bondi and David exchanged alarmed looks. There was no raid, she said sharply, and no financial investigation. Townsend's face darkened. They're moving to Plan B, trial by media, Bondi muttered. If you can't destroy someone legally, you ruin them publicly. The agent hesitated. There's more. The reporter says she has documents showing Ms. Bondi took bribes as Attorney General. They'll run the story within the hour unless she comments. Who's the reporter? David demanded. Lisa Chen, NBS News. Bondi's expression hardened. Lisa Chen is Carter Sullivan's former fiancée, and still close to him. This confirms it. He's behind this. Jeffrey, Townsend barked to the other agent. Get me a secure line to the director, now. He turned back to Bondi. If you're right, this goes beyond my authority. As Jeff left, Bondi's home phone rang. David picked it up, then handed it to her. It's Chen. She wants to speak with you. Bondi switched to her calm, professional tone. This is Pamela Bondi. Ms. Bondi, Lisa Chen with NBS. We're running a story about an FBI investigation into bribes you allegedly took during the Universal Healthcare case. Care to comment? There is no such investigation, Bondi replied coolly. What you're describing is fabricated. Publishing it would be defamation. Our bureau sources confirm the probe is active and include payment records to your foundation, Chen pressed. Your source is Carter Sullivan, Bondi said flatly. The same man I'm scheduled to testify against next month. This is a transparent attempt to discredit me. A pause. I'm not at liberty to reveal my sources. You don't need to, Bondi said. The false data you have matches fake evidence created during a cyber breach at the FBI this morning. The Bureau is investigating. If you publish, you'll be spreading false information and potentially obstructing a federal inquiry. Another silence. Are you confirming there was a cyber breach targeting you? What I'm confirming, Bondi said evenly, is that armed imposters posing as FBI agents tried to enter my home today with forged documents. The real FBI is investigating that incident. Publishing unverified claims would damage your credibility and could interfere with that investigation. I'd still like your response to the bribery allegation, Chen insisted. My response is simple, Bondi said. The investigation under my supervision was expanded, not limited. It resulted in a $13 million settlement and multiple criminal referrals. Any claim that I took money to limit it is false and contradicted by public record. Then how do you explain the $50,000 donation from Maxwell Reynolds, Universal Healthcare's CEO? Bondi smiled coldly. That donation came 3 years after the case closed. It was part of a court-mandated community service program requiring executives to support anti-fraud charities. It's fully documented in public filings. Silence. I'll need to verify that, Chen said. Please do, Bondi replied. And while you're at it, look into why Carter Sullivan, who refused to help prosecute this case, later joined the law firm representing those same executives, made $1.7 million and then returned to the DOJ to close their remaining investigations. I never mentioned Sullivan, Chen said quickly. 3 days later, Bondi sat across from Congressman James Harrington in a private dining room at the Capitol Grill. The powerful Judiciary Committee chairman had been eager to meet. I appreciate your time. Congressman, she began. When a former state AG says the FBI tried to raid her home with a fake warrant, I make time, Harrington replied, especially one with your record. Bondi slid a slim file across the table. It shows that Deputy Director Lawrence Collins bypassed standard protocols to push the warrant through, and that similar tactics have been used against other former Trump officials. Harrington flipped through the papers, frowning. How did you get this so fast? I still have friends at Justice who believe in the law more than politics, she said, and I've been documenting these irregularities since I left office. Insurance, you might say, her phone buzzed. A text from David. CNN breaking FBI raid on Bondi home tied to Foundation investigation, she showed Harrington. They're leaking again. What foundation? The Florida First Foundation. We helped victims of human trafficking and opioid addiction. Every dollar accounted for, audited twice. Harrington studied her. Then someone thinks they found something. Or they're creating it, Bondi finished. Bondi leaned back, arms crossed. Every donation was properly documented, every expense accounted for. We were audited twice, Harrington studied her. Yet someone believes they found something or they're creating it. The foundation's treasurer was Jason Michaels, Bondi countered. Does that name mean anything to you? Recognition flickered across Harrington's face. The whistleblower in the Carter Sullivan case. Bondi nodded. Michaels exposed